Isn't it wild to think that a simple, kind of quirky question from way back in the 1960s is now one of the biggest, most urgent challenges for our most advanced technology? Well, that's exactly what's happened. And believe it or not, it all starts with a runaway trolley.
Okay, so let's get right into it. To really get this, you have to imagine yourself right there in the middle of this famous dilemma.
So there it is, the classic. A trolley is hurtling down the tracks, totally out of control. It's headed straight for five people who are tied up, completely unaware. But you're standing next to a lever. If you pull it, you can switch the trolley to a different track. The catch? There's one person on that other track. There's no time to shout, no other options. The choice is yours. What do you do?
And yeah, I know this scenario is a total meme these days, but it didn't start that way. Not at all. It was actually created by a philosopher named Philippa Foot, and she was dead serious. She designed it as a tool to poke at our moral intuitions, to really get to the bottom of how we decide what's right and what's wrong. See, this whole problem perfectly highlights this clash between two huge ways of thinking about ethics. On one hand, you've got utilitarianism. That's the greater good argument. It's all about the numbers, the outcome. So saving 5 lives at the cost of one? Easy choice. But then you have deontology, which says, whoa, hold on. Some actions, like intentionally causing someone's death, are just fundamentally wrong no matter how good the outcome is. So do the ends justify the means? That's the core conflict right there. So how on earth did we get from a dusty old thought experiment to the code that's running our modern world? Well, it's been quite a journey. This idea took this incredible leap across different fields. I mean, it started in philosophy, right? But then in the early 2000s, psychologists started putting people in fMRI scanners and saw that our brains literally light up in different ways when we think about this stuff. And then, bam, the 2010s hit. Suddenly, we have self-driving cars, and this isn't a thought experiment anymore. It's an actual engineering problem that someone has to solve. 40 million. Let that number sink in. That is how many decisions MIT's Moral Machine Project collected from regular people all over the world. They basically asked millions of us what a self-driving car should do in a crash. It just goes to show you how much this once niche philosophical question has completely captured the global imagination. At this point, it's basically part of pop culture, right? If you've ever seen the show The Good Place, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They literally put a character through it. It's moved from the classroom to our TV screens, and it's being used to teach everyone about ethics in a way we can all understand.
Okay, so this is where things stop being theoretical and get really, really real. The stakes are incredibly high for all of us.
Because when you switch out a trolley for an AI, it's not a game anymore. You have the general public, us, who have to live with the decisions these things make in a split second. You've got the developers who are literally writing immoral code. You have marginalized communities who are at risk of being valued less by a biased algorithm. And of course, you've got the regulators who have to somehow write the rulebook for all of this. And then it happened. The hypothetical became chillingly real. In 2016, a manager at Mercedes-Benz basically said the quiet part out loud. He suggested that in a no-win situation, the car would be programmed to save the occupant, the person who bought the car, over a random pedestrian. Well, people completely lost their minds. The public backlash was immediate and fierce. Headlines everywhere accused them of creating cars that would sacrifice the poor to save the rich. Mercedes had to walk that back, and fast. They came out with an official statement saying no system should ever be entitled to weigh the value of human lives, and that the real goal, the only goal, is to engineer cars so safe that these dilemmas just never happen.
And check this out. It's not just about corporate PR anymore. Governments are now stepping in and writing this stuff into law. Germany, for example, passed laws that say in an unavoidable crash, an AI is forbidden from making a choice based on personal details like age, gender, anything. In the eyes of the law and the algorithm, every single human life has to be treated as equal, period.
So all of this leaves us standing at a massive fork in the road. The choices we are making right now are pointing us toward two very, very different futures. On the one path, we can just ignore these tough questions. And if we do that, we risk building AI that is incredibly efficient, but also kind of cruel. We could end up with systems making cold, calculated decisions that society just finds horrifying. Trust in technology would completely erode, and it would only make social inequalities even worse. But there is another path, a better one.
A future where we tackle this challenge head-on, where we build AI that isn't just smarter, but wiser. Technology that's transparent, that's inclusive by design, and that's actually aligned with our best shared values as human beings.
And look, this isn't just wishful thinking. There's a clear, practical roadmap to get there. First, you design everything with a prevention-first mindset, so these awful choices almost never have to be made. Second, you set up clear global standards, like a moral operating system for all AI. And third, you bring everybody into the conversation, using public forums and simulations to build the rules together. Which leaves us with this final, massive question. When it comes down to programming the ethics of an AI that could decide who lives and who dies, who gets to pull the lever? Is it the engineers, the companies, the government, or does this decision belong to all of us, together? That's the conversation we need to be having right now.